Welcome to another program with Dr. D, Computing with Dr. D, app number 2. This is a guessing game where you guess a number and the computer tells you whether you've guessed the correct random number. You could actually add a bet to this if you wanted to, but we'll simply start with how to get a random number from the computer and how you will enter your guess. So let's just do that. We'll create a new project. We'll call it, well, it'll be a console app. We'll start that up. We'll call it My Guessing Game. So enter that into Visual Studio. I'm not sure if we need any spaces there. It's best if you don't have spaces. Again, we'll keep our statements clear so we can see what's going on in Visual Studio. The background imagery you see is all my photos that I've taken over the years, but anyway. Here we are. Now, again, we have the Hello World program. Obviously, we don't really want to have Hello World, do we? We need a different title. So I'm going to call it something like Dr. D's number guessing program. You can call it whatever you like. So write in your opening line of text, Dr. D's number guessing program. And let's then say enter, well, let's give them a choice, the user a choice of how many numbers they're going to be guessing from. So, you could guess the number thrown on a dice, which would be a number from 1 to 6. You could guess the numbers from 0 to 10, or make it super hard and make it 0 to 100. Or if it was flipping a coin, you'd make it the numbers 1 or 2. So let's give them the option of what they're going to enter. So again, we'll have our console write line and we'll tell them to enter a number. Again, we finish our lines with our inverted, our text goes into 2 inverted commas. We have brackets at the end of our console write line and obviously a semicolon at the end of the line. So write that in. We'll say enter the highest number in the guessing system. Enter the highest number in the guessing system. So now we've got that number. We obviously have to get that number and we have to put it into one of our variables. So the first variable I'm going to use will be an integer, and we'll call this the high number. And in order to make an integer in Visual Studio C#, you need to make it into an integer, because when you enter with the keyboard, it will come into the program as text. Now, you can't calculate text or work out whether it's higher than another text entry. Well, that's not technically true, but let's not go there. Because we're working with numbers, we need it to be a number, so we're going to compare two numbers. So integer high, we're going to convert it to an integer 32, which will be then held in memory in that format, in a 32-bit format. Now, once we have integer 32, now we have to go, okay, well, we need our console read line now. So let's go console read line. Now it's helpfully told us that we're correct there. So there we go. So console read line is now held into that variable of type integer. Now, the first thing we need to do is have a random number. So how we get a random number in C# is by simply using an object called random, an inbuilt object. It's a maths object, and it's helpfully given us the name for our variable type object, random rand. So we'll simply call it rand and move on. It's been pretty helpful there with us, as you can see. So just emulate what I'm doing on your system and you'll see that we'll be getting where we need to get. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need to get the next random number generated by this object, this random object. And to do that, I have to actually define our local variable. I'm just going to call that integer rando. So I'm going to get, and you see how it says ran next high, which is really good because it's actually picked out that we're using a number called high, and ran.next means we'll get the next random number in our system. Now, it said rand next high, but it hasn't said a range. And what we need to do is say we want the numbers from 0 through to high. So we're going to get that range of numbers. So the lowest number to be picked will be 0. We could, in fact, have the lowest number as 1. No one's likely to pick 0. It's not really a number, as the Romans will confirm for you. They never had any zeros in Roman numerals. And maybe they should have asked the Babylonians about that. But anyway, let's not get into history. Now we're going to say console write line, guess the number that the computer picked out of the stack. So we'll say that. So we'll say console write line. And you can see there that, again, console write line. Now, just telling the user what to do. Now, guess what number I picked out of the stack. Okay, so let's just finish that line there. Again, semicolon. I've got a full colon there. That's why I had an error down the bottom. Guess what number I picked out of the stack. So now what we need to do is to have an integer to put the number that they've written into the system into that variable type, the integer. So we'll call this choice, this one. So choice will equal, again, we've got to convert to int 32 whatever they've written. Again, it's a fairly helpful suggestion from Visual Studio. And so we've got that. So now we're going to actually work out which number, whether they've selected the actual number that's come up. So if choice equals, now we need an if, and we need that to select whether it's correct or not, but we don't want equals 0. What we really want is to see if it equals the random number that the computer selected, rando. So if it's equal to rando, of course, they're correct. So let's give them that message. So we'll go console write line again, and let's now say tell our user that they're correct. So I'll say something like correct. You can say what you like. I'm going to say, right, correct. You get 2 free pizzas. Now, double Z might be better. I'm not sure how that happened, but anyway, it had an extra inverted comma there. I've got to get rid of those. And again, I've got to finish with that semicolon. So correct, you get 2 free pizzas if it's correct. But what if they're not correct? What if they enter anything else in at all? So let's just go else. They've entered something in. And we're going to say console write line again. We're going to, again, just say bad luck. So bad luck. I'm using uppercase and lowercase for emphasis. Bad luck. It was actually, and now I can tell them what it actually was. So we know what it was. It was rando, wasn't it? So we go plus rando, and here we can finish our line. It was actually rando, and finish the line, and there's no errors. So now we've got it written. Obviously, we haven't even saved it yet, but we're saving it now. We're going to run it and see how it goes, and I'll show you. Enter the highest number in the guessing system. I'm just going to say three. Oh, let's say two. Guess what number I picked. I'll say two. Bad luck, it was actually one. I couldn't have done any worse, could I? All right, let's just try it again. Highest number in the guessing system, two. And let's say one. Correct, you get two free pizzas. Now, obviously, if you have a number out of 6 or out of 10, you're less likely to be successful, and you can try over and over and over without actually getting anywhere at all. The thing here is that, of course, you have to start the program again and again. So why don't we put a do while loop around it just to finish our code off? So to do that, I need up the top here, we need a do while loop around it. So we're going to say do all of this. And you might remember this from the previous program, previous app, but and I'm going to say while down the bottom here. And I'll say while something, something. Now, it's not an integer I'm using, but I've just got the structure there of our program. Of our do while loop, let's just hold that there. I'm going to now use a string. I'll call it string continue, and I'll give, oh gosh, I shouldn't use continue. It keeps doing these internal variable types. I'll say string go. Oh gosh, it's hard to find one, isn't it? I'll try continue anyway, and just have to do that and get rid of it. I'm sure there's some hotkey I could use that I'm not using, and I want it lowercase. So now I'm happy. So let's go while continue equals um, do you want to continue, yes or no? So while continue is equivalent to yes, um, we'll get that going, and it will go round and round and round. But of course, what we need to do is to make sure the yes is a string. So we'll have to put that in our inverted commas. We need our semicolon there. We seem to have a lot of errors. Let's have a look at them. Identifier expected, while expected, syntax, blah, blah. It hasn't got, I don't think I've got the bracket here. So we'd better put our bracket in for our do while. And notice now that all of our code of the program we wrote is indented. And again, we're getting less errors. We need to ask them if they're going to continue. So let's say console write line, and we will say there to our users, do you want to, or try again. How about try again, Y or N? Obviously, we don't require them to enter an N because it's anything other than yes. If they say flying fish, it will still stop the loop. We're only continuing if it's yes. string, shouldn't say equal for defining a variable. Sorry, my error. String continue equals, we've got to say y up here. So we're actually going to say y. And now the errors are gone. But you can see that I've just said y. I've given it a, and I guess we said y here and I've written yes there. We'll write in continue and we'll allocate that to the value of whatever they have entered into the system. So let's go continue read line. So we'll go console read line. So let's do that there. Console read line. Again, there's our errors. Converting null literal to possible non-value. No, that's a warning. It's not an error. So we can continue on and see if it works this time. Sorry about that. But I'm going to do 2 this time. So let's do that. Guess what number I picked out of the stack? Correct. Now we'll try again. Yes, and now it's going around and looping. The highest number this time will be 3. Guess what number I picked out of the stack? 3. Bad luck, it was 2. Try again. Yes. I'll go 2, 2, yes, 2, 2. Bad luck. And again, you can see that it isn't as easy as you think. Guess the number. What about 3? 3. No, I'm not having much luck here. I'm going to finish the program there. Let's just quit the program. So I'm going to put B and show you that it crashes the program. Any key to press out of this window. So thank you for watching Computing with Dr. D once again. This is our second program. You can see how you can do your debugging here, and if we wanted to add our comments to the code, we can use our 2 forward slashes and say get the user's response that they entered into the system. I'm going to leave you there. I'll see you again for another program. The next program, I'm going to show you binary numbers in a binary loop. I'll do that a little bit later and put it on YouTube, as this will be as I go through these series. So this is Dr. D signing out. We'll see you next time.